Welcome to season 6 of The Breakthrough Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and this is Breakthroughs Around the World conversations with 40 guests from 40 different countries, acknowledging our similarities, honoring our differences, and celebrating our connection. I am so excited for season 6, episode 9, to welcome back a previous guest of the show who appeared in season 4, episode 29. Our guest today is an author, an ACCA qualified accountant, and since he was last on the show, he has become a TEDx speaker whose TED Talk went viral, receiving over 500,000 views in just 2 days. Representing the country of Kenya and here to blow the lid off the Breakthrough Show again, please welcome Robert Belle.
Whoa, I love that intro. Thank you so much.
Do you see how I tied in the book?
Oh man, that's brilliant. No one has ever done that. Surprisingly, that's so interesting. I'm gonna start requesting for that to happen.
Yes, it's great. It's great. Well, I'm so excited to have you back today because I love to catch up with past guests of the show. And everybody, I remember everybody just went nuts over your episode, and we just had such a great conversation the last time you were on. So I'm excited to do that today. But first, because we are doing the Breakthroughs Around the World series, and we know that you're from Kenya, and we've had Olivia on from Kenya, and we've been working with the Weiss Scholarship Foundation in Kenya. We have a love for Kenya here, but I would love to know what you love most about Kenya, Robert.
What I love most, I mean, apart from it being my country of birth, I only actually lived here since about 2010. So what I love the most is that it gives me an opportunity to really reconnect with my roots and my culture. And it's a place that values wildlife so much. It's the only country in the entire world that has a national park in the capital city. So in less than 10 minutes, if you're within the city center, you can see lions and elephants and the big five, we call it. It's so wonderful. That's what I love the most, that
Wow.
it's a place where I can really get in contact with nature, and the wildlife is just visible without much hassle. I don't have to take a plane. I don't have to take a train. I don't even have to drive. I could even ride a bicycle and I can see a lion. Yeah.
Wow. And see, I was wondering if that was true because I had seen a picture of Kenya, and it was a picture of there were like wild animals with the city in the background. And I was like, this has got to be photoshopped. Like, this is not a real thing, but it is.
Yeah, actually, when you go to the national park, the Nairobi National Park, you can see the animals, and if you get a good angle, you can see the city skyline just in the background. Just it's so beautiful. Of course, with developments, a bit of the wildlife space is being, I don't want to say encroached upon, but it's getting a little smaller. But it's still good distance from the city center, but not far enough that you can't see it. So it's really awesome.
I love that. And I think we had talked about when we did our special on Kenya with Olivia and Brett Weiss, we were talking about all of the conservation efforts that are done in Kenya for animals. And I loved that because there are so many places in the world where our animals are not protected. And I love the efforts that they go to in Kenya to make sure that they're safe and all of that. So it's really interesting to me, the differences within the, even within Africa, the different countries and the differences in the protection of the animals as well. I know that you're also very passionate about athletics and sports within Kenya. Tell me a little bit about that, Robert.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about just sports generally. I was pretty sure that when I was growing up, I would be a professional athlete and get major endorsements. And I mean, every kind of typical, not every, but a typical young boy's dream, to be a superstar, Michael Jordan or something.
Yes.
That didn't quite happen, but I never lost the love for it. So I am pretty much active in sports. I am a certified scuba diver, so that's like my newest passion.
Wow.
In the next few days, I definitely will be scuba diving on the southern coast of Kenya in a place called Diani. And we have a dive site that has a shipwreck. So we're going to go down and just view a ship that, from the olden days, that just still there and the wreck is in place. And I'm really excited about that. So Kenya is a place that known mainly for its athletics, for its run, long distance, etc. But there's such a wide variety. Actually, Kenya has an American football league.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, played mainly by a tribe called the Maasais. Maasais are the warrior guys you normally see in pictures with spears and everything. So it's trying to come up a bit. They have a small league going. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. One of the other things that really fascinates me about Africa as a whole, but each country, there are so many languages, which within each do you know how many languages are represented in Kenya?
Wow. There are many,
Probably
but
a
I'll
lot.
give you a minimum. So we have 47 tribes, and each tribe has its own language,
Wow.
and each tribe has sub tribe, yeah, like sub groupings. So like the tribe where my mom comes from is the Luya tribe, and they're like what, maybe 16 different languages. I mean, they're quite similar. So that's one tribe. So you have 47 tribes, and each one has multiple variations. So we're looking up northward of 60 different languages.
That's incredible. We have a hard enough time in the United States with English.
Midwest English, the Southern English.
There's the accents and there's little things that people say that are different because I grew up in New England and now I live down south. And so it's very different. The communication style is different, but at least like the language itself isn't changing. I have a hard enough time with this, Robert. I don't know if I could survive over there. Do you find that a lot of people know like that are proficient in multiple languages? Are you?
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are proficient in multiple languages, depending on your exposure. Also, obviously, if you live in the urban area, you by default end up learning other languages just to communicate with others because people
Right.
tend to prefer to communicate in a language that's familiar to them. So you pick up a few things here and there, and then also, particularly in Kenya, like in most other African cultures, people are intrigued about the other tribes' culture, and
Mhm.
you can't learn culture without language and without their food. So a lot of the food still maintains their cultural
Mm.
name. They don't have like English names or Kiswahili names, so you learn the language that way. Yeah, I wouldn't
Oh,
say I'm
okay.
proficient in others, but I could understand.
You you can make your way through a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of food, tell me, we have seemed to get on the food conversation with every country this year. I've found that every country is so protective of their food traditions and some of their are there any dishes that you've had in Kenya like that are only found in Kenya or really special to you living there?
What you'll find in a lot of African countries is a combination of different meals or
Mm,
food items, and varies across the different region. So one of the iconic foods that you find in Kenya is something called ugali, Ugali,
mm,
ugali. It's like a white cake. It's like a white cake made mainly from maize flour or corn flour, and that's the staple. That's the staple of most Kenyans. If you go to the western side of Africa, they make it from maybe a different grain. Maybe not from maize. They can make it from cassava and so on. And like in Nigeria, they call it fufu. So it's it varies from region, but that particular variation ugali is found only in Kenya.
I love that. If you said cake, I'm coming. I'm coming to visit.
Yeah, because it's presented as a cake, like a round cake. Yeah, so
Mhm. Very good. Very good. I'll need to look that up. I'm so fascinated by all of the different things because what I found too is that many of us have something similar in our countries. We just call it something different, or there's like one little ingredient or one little special touch that makes it our own in any particular country. So you mentioned the animals in the middle of the city. Do you have any other places in Kenya that you love to visit that are really special to you?
outside of nature, that's
Mm,
it. Nature is like nature 1, 2, 3.
yeah.
Besides the park, but another place that's special for me to visit is we have one of the biggest buildings in Central Africa. So you
Mm,
can go to the top of it and you can see, so call it our Empire State Building sort of thing, and that's a good place. Just go and you see the vastness of the city,
mm.
the vastness of the city there. So that's another place that I like to go to visit.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I listen, I'm determined to get to Kenya at some point, not
Yes.
just because I know you and Olivia, but I've fallen in love with it. But just hearing from you guys, and I love animals, and so I think it would be. I'm excited. I need to get out there. It would be
Yeah,
awesome.
we're excited to have you. You've said it before, and it's gonna happen.
Yes, yes. I keep saying it out loud. It's going to manifest
Yes,
eventually
yes,
here.
yes.
I love it.
Imagine a world where every child gets a great education. Educating all children is the only way to end poverty. This is what the Weiss Scholarship Foundation is working to accomplish. Our 6 staff members, our mentors and coordinators, who are on the ground in Kenya, are totally engaged in every aspect of our students' lives, so we can give them every opportunity for success. In just a few short years, we have already awarded 141 scholarships. We send children to high school who would have never gone without our support. And then we help them go on to either university or vocational school. We have already scaled our holistic business model to 4 locations and are ready to scale it to many more. Today it's Kenya, but tomorrow it's more countries. Please contribute what you can today. You can make a one-time donation, a recurring donation, or choose to sponsor a child all on your own for all 4 years of high school for just $3,500. Go to our website, www.weissscholarshipfoundation.org.
Well, the last time that you were on the show, we talked a lot about your book. I hinted at it in your introduction, Blow the Lid Off, which we loved. And since that time that you were on, you have done so many things, but I want to backtrack really quickly. And for those people that might not have seen that initial episode that you were on, you've been in the world of finance and several other things, but tell us a little bit about Robert Belle now, because you kind of combine some different things. And I'd love to know, for people to know what you do in your work, Robert.
Yeah, I still can remember season 4. Like, it
Yeah.
was not too long ago, but wow, time has really flown
Yeah.
by. My domain profession is I'm an accountant, 'cause that's how we usually tend to identify someone, although that's not their full identity. So I am an accountant, a qualified accountant, but beyond that, I am a champion of creativity. So accountancy is just what I do for professional work, but my core identity in life as a person is that I champion creativity. I'm an ambassador of wellness, and I'm a pursuer of excellence, and that allows me to stretch beyond my profession. So I am a public speaker, I'm an author, and I manifest that in different aspects of life. Really, at the heart of it, I'm a lover of people, and I want people to live their best life. I truly believe that every single one of us can live such a happy and fulfilling life. Now, it doesn't mean that you get everything you want or that we live the life that we necessarily want, but you still can live something happy and fulfilling. How so? By leveraging our creativity. Our creativity is our ideas, putting something out into the world, working on it. This podcast, a breakthrough. So that's living a fulfilling life, because it's an idea that someone has taken, grafted, and taken out. So that's what I really help to seek to help people do. Just living a very fulfilled and satisfied life, as opposed to the mundane. You make a lot of money, but then you're just not satisfied. So bringing that
Yeah.
innate creativity out.
Yeah. I remember that episode and people saying to me like how blown away they were by the fact that you're an accountant, but you don't come across that way at all. Like, you definitely show your creative side. And I have to be honest with you. So we've had a new show on the Breakthrough Show Network called My Way, which is conversations with entrepreneurs that are doing business outside the box, doing things their way, doing things differently. And our conversation initially from season 4 always has stuck out in my mind as one of those my way moments. Like, I think certain people in certain professions have a specific persona. They have a way of, you kind of like, oh, they're a lawyer, they're a doctor, they're an accountant, whatever, but you don't come across that way, and you allow yourself to explore different things. And I always appreciated that about you. And it really sticks in the back of my mind as I've been going through this new series as well, of how many people are finally coming to allow themselves to do that, to be creative, maybe in spaces that they didn't think that they were creative before.
Yeah, it's an awakening that's happening, globally, and we have to acknowledge that the challenge that has been there over the years is that we have tied our identity so close to profession that when you leave it or when you move away from it, it's like you're naked. It's very scary, because
Yeah.
now how do you introduce yourself at that dinner party? I'm
Yeah.
a former lawyer trying magic or trying something, trying cookery, so you feel so destabilized, your foundation gets shaken so much, and that kind of exposure can really be very threatening and can be very fearful. And that's why we do these episodes, and I do the work that I do to help people to realize that, hey, the journey may seem a little dark, but you are the light that brings the light to that path, right? You can't expect someone else to light that way because they don't know it. I keep telling people that if you're on a journey of discovery to finding out where your creativity will lead you beyond your profession that you studied or you qualified for, you're really going to have a point of reference. Because if you have a point of reference, then it ceases to become a discovery. So cut yourself some slack, let loose, and explore. Try your hand at different things. Don't be so fixated that I have to figure out what this thing is in 2 months or in 3 months. Try different things, but always have a base that you can hold firm to, because you will need some encouragement and support.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important for us to do this in our own lives, but also to be an example for our children of how we can be multifaceted as humans in this way and in the work that we do. Because I remember growing up in middle school, and I got student of the month, and they used to come around and do like a interview for the local newspaper when you made student of the month. And they asked me the all telling question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember saying, I want to be a singer or a lawyer. And so the funny thing is when I look at that now, I've had many people who have said to me, like, it's a shame that at the time you didn't think that you could be like the singing lawyer, and see that you could be, you didn't have to just pick one like that. And I think that's ultimately why I didn't go down either one of those paths, because I thought if I pick one thing, like that's what I'm stuck with, and I can't ever explore anything else. I can't ever, what if I don't like it? And and there's so many things that come up with that. So how important is it, Robert, for us to embody this kind of creativity for our children as well?
Great. I'll give you a personal example that we do in our house, and what we've learned from interacting with different people. So our children, we don't tell them what our professions, right? I mean, of course, they come to find out and they know about it later. We tell them what problems we solve. So we always ask them, what problem do you want to solve in life? And I've been a proponent of that. No, let's stop asking children in school what they want to be, right? Not survey. What is it called? Research shows us that over 65% of the children in elementary school today will end up in a job that doesn't exist. So if we tell people, what do you want to be, you're just limiting their minds to what they're seeing today. You're not giving them the space or the freedom and the permission to create something new, create a new space. So we tend to ask our children and children who come around us what problem they want to solve in life. And if being a doctor is the mechanism or the conduit in which they will solve a particular problem, great. But it also means that they don't have to just be a doctor. We're becoming very multifaceted. And I hear the debate, I hear the argument that this is the problem we're having in today's world. People are not focused, they're not specialized because they want to do different things. And I will hear you to some extent, but also we have to allow people to serve humanity and live their lives to their fullest. And one person can't just be a doctor. I don't think there's one profession that can totally encompass an entire human being. So you can be a very good doctor, but you can also, do something else. I love the singing lawyer. I mean, I wish I had a lawyer who sing law to me or sing this case. Like, if you don't give me this evidence, then you'll spend 5 years in prison. Something like, I mean, like, I'll be like, right, okay, that, I mean, hey,
Yes. Well, I mean, I agree with you too, that I think that the idea that, we're all just distracted and not specialized in any one thing. I think that's old thinking. I think that it's because they're still living in a world that tells them that they have to do one thing, choose one path, goes one direction, and that they can't express these other sides of themselves. And so I would say that we just, it needs to, we still have some changing to do, but I do, like you said, see the awakening happening with people, that they can explore these different things that they're interested in now. Speaking of go ahead, Robert.
With that is, when we look at it from that perspective, I think we are not understanding the power of collaboration, because this new way of work is really leveraging a lot of collaboration. So if I'm going to be the doctor who also does something else, right? It's moving away that burden of me doing everything that a doctor should do. right?
Yeah.
We work as a team. There are other doctors who also have this, who have that skill and have this skill, and we should collaborate, right? So it's about collaborating to solve problems. Because at the end of the day, the things that we do is solve problems. No matter what you get up to do in the morning, you're solving a problem or you're creating some value for someone. That's the only that's the only how we can live. We are hardwired to do that, and we are hardwired to connect to people. One of the best ways to connect to someone is by helping someone solve a problem, identify a problem, work through a problem, patch a problem, something. It's always an
Yeah.
issue around and a problem doesn't necessarily mean something bad or painful. It
Right.
just means a hurdle, something that's blocking them. So in my work, the problem that I help people solve is reclaiming their creativity. It's not a problem that will send you to the hospital, right? But it's something affecting your identity. So I'm helping them, blow the lid off and live a more fulfilling life. So and I can do that through different persons. Now, if I just said I'm an accountant, I'm not so sure how as an accountant I can help people unleash their creativity. If I was to tell them, well, you need to have this amount of money in your 401k, and once you get to that goal, you'll be creative.
Yeah.
It's going to require a multidisciplinary approach.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're doing it your way, and not I love what you said too about not necessarily telling people what you do, but rather focusing on the problem that you solve, because then that opens up, blows the lid off of what we feel like we have to do as well. Like we don't have to stick to a certain way of doing things or being one title in order to solve a problem. It allows us to be more creative to solve the problem in whatever way works for the client that we're serving, the organization that we're working with, whatever that is. So I know that you did this TED thing, and it did amazing. Tell us what the TED Talk was about.
Yeah, it's TED. Once you just say TED, anything after that is
we're done. That's it. Goodbye. Thank you for coming.
Every time I talk about it, it feels like it feels unreal. It really, there are times I go to online, I go to my TED Talk just to see, is it really me who's delivering that, So after the breakthrough show, or just around that time, I got out some advice from my coaches and people in the industry, the media industry. I said, you have a lot of great thoughts, a lot of great content, and more people need to see it. You can't do all the podcast interviews, you can't do everything. So why don't you take a big leap, a giant leap, and get on a TEDx stage? I tried getting on a TEDx stage, but it just wasn't working out. And then one day I was scrolling through social media and I saw TED, the main TED now, the main global TED, put out a call that they're looking for the next big global idea. And I was like, man, I'm struggling to get on a TEDx stage. I'm not so sure how my idea will become a next global idea, but I gave it a shot. As I always put myself in uncomfortable situations. I entered, I made it to the finals, the final 15 of the competition, and I ended up becoming one of the winners. So I won TED's Global Idea Search 2021, and my TED Talk looks at exactly what I've been saying almost this whole interview. It's around money and emotions. In my work as an accountant, I observed that money is just a tool, but the thing that powers our decisions around money are emotions. Our emotions get in the way. We don't spend or save or do whatever we do with our money just because we're told factually 1 + 1 = 2. There's a lot of emotions that go into it. And if we're not aware of the emotions that are driving our decisions and our behavior around money, then our money problems may not fully be solved. So that's the essence of my TED Talk. And it blew up in 2 days. I was lucky to be, because I won the competition, the TED team really promoted me. I was featured on TED homepage the day of the launch, June 21st, 2021. I was featured on TED Talks Daily, their podcast. It's one TED Talk a day. And my TED Talk was featured for that day. The day was launched and featured on the newsletter, and it went viral, just about 500,000 views in 2 days. It was just skyrocketing because the first time it launched, I just happened to be on my email. I saw it. I checked. I said, I'm not going to watch it. 2 hours later, I went. There was 40,000 views. The next day was 400,000 views. And I was blown away.
Do you feel, so I remember when first quarter of last year when we partnered with E360 TV and decided to take the Breakthrough Show to a larger audience and going on the Roku and Amazon and all of that. And I really, like, even up until that point, I had 4 seasons under my belt. I kind of looked at numbers, but not really. Like, I was more interested in the impact that we were having and the personal messages that I would receive. And then when we met with the producer of E360 after our first quarter with them, and they told me how many people were watching, and I was like, excuse me? Like, I had no idea. But I felt this immense sense of responsibility after that. Have you experienced that yourself, knowing that this many people have seen your TED Talk? Do you feel like any more responsibility than you, like, how has it changed how you look at your own self and your own business?
Well, I can say I was not prepared, nowhere near that. My goal, if it was a goal, was to probably get to 1 million views somewhere in my lifetime, maybe 10 years down the line. Like, I was nowhere prepared for that. Dates, there are more than 2 million views.
I saw that this morning. I was like, what?
Less than a year, and the pressure was immense. I was not ready. I had to take a break because I got messages from every platform, emails, and I felt obligated that I need to follow up. I also felt a sense that I've missed an opportunity to monetize. I had a course or something, and I had to really sit down and say, Robert, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
All right, it's okay. You were not necessarily ready for this, and don't beat yourself up. You can still create. All right, you can still make it. What matters is that the impact you've had. Now, the weight and obligation that I'm feeling, I wouldn't call it an obligation, but I have now taken it to be a responsibility. So I'm going to do it in my terms. I'm not going to just allow, because 2 million people are viewed, do something else, right? I'm going to take the responsibility and say, how else can I serve? And I'm currently working on that. So I definitely did feel it. It's very heavy. I just was not ready for it. I think I'm still kind of struggling with it because I am an introvert, sort of. So
not anymore.
So, like, just becoming a public sort of person, people seeing you, I have to just keep, so that was a bit on getting out of my comfort zone, and I'm getting there and I'm getting used to it. And now I'm, getting there and starting to be, as they say, an influencer on social media, people really seem to connect well. So it wasn't quite easy, but I'm happy that I could call on people who have been there and done that transition and ask them for advice.
It's funny to me that you pointed out the a missed opportunity to monetize, because that's something that I think so many people are wrapped up in, the monetization of whatever it is that they're doing, that's the only way you can make an impact, is if you monetize something, and then it leads to something else, and then that leads to something else. And like, I can't tell you how many times in recent days, weeks, months, I've gotten a connection call with people, and I don't know if this has become a thing, Robert, that people do this, but I never thought it was appropriate to ask somebody right out the gate about their business finances. Like, but this is, I know lately this is happening. I'll get on a call with somebody and they'll say, okay, well, how are you making your money? And I'm just like, this has become acceptable to just ask
Wow.
this. What? But they're so wrapped up in, like, that's like the first thing that they ask, not how are you making an impact, not whose lives has this affected, right? Who are you serving? None of that. How are you making your money? Why? Like, how can does that serve us in any kind of way to just be focused on that? Like, what are your thoughts on that, Robert?
I'm an accountant. If I was the accountant, I would ask you that question. But if I'm not, I'm shocked. You could see my facial reaction. I'm quite shocked, because when I get on a call with someone, a discovery call, I want to first find out what they're doing. How, as you said, what impact are they having? Because you can have impact in different ways. If you just follow the money, if you follow just monetization, you can miss even a bigger opportunity. You can always miss a big opportunity. For example, let me just find a very loose example. Let's say you have the Breakthrough Show, and you said every guest will pay an X amount of money to be featured, but you're missing on the bigger connection and network that guests can bring to you. Right? You guys, you can have a conversation on the Breakthrough Show that is so massive that can lead to a spin-off product either for you or for both of you or for something else. So you might miss that opportunity. Or some guests who would say, look, I'll only come on your show if you pay me $100, right? So you're just following on the money and as opposed to looking at the impact. And when we talk about impact is never instant.
Mm.
And it requires patience. So you record a podcast, you release it, you publish it. 2 years later, someone finds it. Think about
Right.
TED Talks. How many times you watch a TED Talk, you realize loaded 8 years ago. You're like, what? I've just come across this, and then there's so many TED speakers who say that, like, someone watched my TED Talk, calls me to have a speaking engagement at a big company, and that was it. And I can say that's my story right now because I'm still waiting for some calls to come through. When people find people, it's content. You're creating content, you're serving, and it's also important to separate between what you want to do for monetization and what you want to do for service.
Mm.
Not everything you do will be monetized, nor should you. I believe not everything you do should be monetized because you have to give some time, you have to give some ideas and some service that you do a life of its own. Give it a life of its own, let it develop. Because when you look at monetizing every single thing that you do, you're going to restrict it, you're going to constrict it, and you're going to miss the opportunity. So I'm very clear, all right, these are the things that I'll do that I will not directly monetize, right? Because monetization is not just money today, cash right now. It's about building your brand, building your influence. Now imagine if TED said, because TED doesn't pay speakers. Now imagine if I said, I'm not gonna participate in TED. Like I have a TED label, right? That's monetization I could use for the rest of my life. Like I don't need to worry about doing it and said unless I'm gonna get paid. And I think we're too fixated on that we're missing the big opportunity, which is connecting to people.
Yes, absolutely. It's so good because I think we can be so obviously your job as an accountant, you're focused on money, but I'm hearing you say it's not all about money, right?
It's not all about money. Because if not everything you do is about money, but everything you do can relate to money. You got to look at other metrics. You got to look at what's happening, who you're serving, how you're serving them, so you can look for better opportunities. Real skilled and forward-thinking accountants wouldn't just look at how much you're making and how much you're losing. They'll look at what are you doing that we can probably optimize. What are you doing that we can spin off or something. I counsel a lot of entrepreneurs or small business owners is before you think about starting a new service or product, really ask yourself, have you optimized the ones that you're doing? Because sometimes when you're in a small business, cash flow is low. You're like, I need to get something new out. And we get excited and we work on a new project and we're like, we're going to launch this in Q1 next year. And then the money doesn't really come in as you expected, right? Now, it doesn't mean that if something isn't working, you got to change gear. But you really have to ask yourself, is it really not working? Did you really serve yourself? Did you put your best effort into that? Because if you're just looking at the money, you can leave something that can actually create much better revenue for you as opposed to starting to look for a new idea. Really just get someone in and help you figure out, am I really optimizing this?
Yeah, that's so good because I think that we see that all the time, especially in the coaching industry. Like it's shiny object syndrome. They'll come out with something, it might do really well, it might flop, whatever it is. And then next thing you know, they're coming out with something 2 weeks later and we haven't even used what is already there.
Yeah.
And like even people, I'm calling you guys out right now, okay? Some of you guys that are watching this right now that have literally bought 25 programs already this year, and you have your credit card in hand as you are watching this, ready to buy another one, but you have not even watched the ones that you bought. Hello?
Yeah.
We had to call the people out today.
That's true. That's true. Just maximize, optimize on the skill that you have. You've got to really decide. And it goes, what skill that you need to develop there is the skill of making right decisions. It sounds so obvious, but we're not really taught how to make good decisions.
Right.
And a good decision must have a very good base. And the base can't just be money, right? You have to see, what are my parameters for making this decision? Me coming on the Breakthrough Show, how is it helping me and how am I going to help the person? I've been listening to a lot of podcast episodes, and what I hear people saying is something I've been saying for years, is that it's not a matter of how much time you spend on something, right? But it's the intensity and the quality of time. So we can spend 10 minutes together, but if we're really focused, we're not going on our phones, we're not being distracted by notifications, we can get so much done in 10 minutes, Jessica, together, than if we were 1 hour of distracted kind of focus and energy. So people always tell me, how do you manage all your priorities? You must really be good at managing time. I said, not really. I'm good at managing
Yeah.
energy. I
Yes.
manage my energy. So if I know I'm doing this show today, I ensure that the tasks that I'm doing today do not take from my energy that will prevent me from showing up here at this time. So I plan the tasks that I have to do so that I have enough in there. There's time to rest so that I can deliver on this. It's not a matter of stacking everything into the calendar. Friday's finished. I'm great. I had a good week. Not really. If you had a good week and you're totally burnt out, you have not balanced your energy.
Right, right. Even today, like I have back-to-back calls today and tomorrow. And so when someone asked me to do something yesterday, I was like, I am not going to add something else to my calendar right now. You have to learn how to balance that out. And it's so easy for us as entrepreneurs because we love what we do. We're passionate about what we do. We'll just add one more thing. It'll be fine. And then at the end of the week, we hate what we do because we're so tired.
And you know what's core in I'm getting into my coaching now,
Here we go.
making decisions, this is gifted to the Breakthrough Show, audience, right? What's key in making decisions is that you can never be effective at decision making if you don't know how to establish boundaries. That's the key, guys. That's the key. Yeah. So that's where the boundaries come in. So when that opportunity comes, you have a filter you take it through. And let me tell you, it's very painful because when you establish boundaries, people who have direct access to you are not going to like it. They're really not going to like it. I had a similar situation today. Someone asked me to do something for them, and I looked and I checked. I planned when I'll do it. I said, I can get to this next week. And now they're like, you know what? You're asking me so many questions. If you really don't want to do it, just tell me. And I had to send them a message. And I said, listen, I didn't say listen. I said, thank you for your feedback. You've interacted with me long enough to know that when I want to do something, I will tell you. If I don't want to, I won't tell you. I won't string you along. But I need to make sure that I am very clear as to what I'm committing myself to, how much it's going to take from me, and that I can deliver value for you. If you're not comfortable with me assessing what you're asking me to do, then maybe I'm not the right person for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So you always bring it every time you come, Robert. I'm so excited to have you back today. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. I hope you guys have been taking notes today because there has been a lot of goodness from Robert, and I am excited now to ask you our 10 quick fire questions that I have been asking all of our guys. Get ready, get your game face on. Let's do it.
Good. Do I have any lifelines?
Yeah, no, you cannot phone a friend. Yes. All right. It's going to be good though. It's going to be good. Here we go. Number 1, what is your morning beverage of choice?
Water.
Water. Me too. All right. Number 2, when are you most productive?
After going to the gym.
Oh, see, I pass out after that. Number 3, which season is your favorite?
Summer.
I'm surprised. Is it really hot there? In the
Very.
summer? Oh, see, that can't. I gotta come in the winter. All right, number 4. What is something you're learning right now?
Something I'm learning. Can it be something that I'm relearning?
Yes.
Something I'm relearning to really rest. To rest.
Ah, yes,
Yeah, to
that's a
take a
good
break.
one.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. What were your best and worst subjects in school?
Worst, math.
Really? What?
Ooh,
I don't
yes.
believe this. You're lying.
I am so yes. Math was I just could not get. It's too abstract. Actually, if you take me to a physics class and apply all the math, I'll ace it. But in the math
Ah,
class, I just it's just too abstract. It's too hypothetical for me.
yeah.
I just cannot relate. So math, I really struggled. And my best subject obviously was accounting. Best in that it was easy. Wasn't my was the question favorite or best?
Best.
Yeah, best was accounting. I performed very good in it, but it wasn't my favorite. My favorite was definitely biology.
Ah, very nice. Interesting. And I guess you can kind of probably put that together a little bit with the scuba diving you're doing now and all the animals in Kenya and everything. Look at you can put it all together.
Yep.
All right. Number 6. What scares you?
Not trying.
Mm,
Not
that's a
trying.
good one.
That scares me.
Yeah. Number 7. Have you ever been in love?
Yes, and heartbroken.
Is it usually if we have been in love, we have also been heartbroken.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8. What inspires you?
I never know how to answer that question. I get asked that question every time. I think what inspires me is hope. Honestly, it's hope of a better life, a better future, that things can change.
Yeah.
And that I can participate in that change. That's what inspires me. That I have an obligation and a responsibility to participate in change.
Yeah. See, you do know. That's so good. Number 9, if you have any at all with your busyness, how do you enjoy your downtime?
Going to the gym.
Yeah.
No, like my downtime is going to actually after this interview, I'm going to go to the gym. Just it's how I distress myself, and beyond that, my downtime is definitely traveling and exploring. I love traveling, new places. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Every answer, 1 through 10, the gym. Lastly, which culture do you deeply respect and or want to learn more about other than your own?
The Japanese culture.
Mm,
I definitely respect the commitment to excellence. Things work when you're going to do something. You're going to do it well. Never been to Japan. I definitely want to go. It's on my bucket list. Anyone listening who knows how to help me to get there, great. I want to learn more about it. It inspires me a lot. I've had people who've lived there and given me feedback, and I just want to be around that thinking and see, how do they do that?
yeah. I love it. Well, you did it. You did all 10 questions. Beautifully done. Through the finish line. Now you can go to the gym all pumped up.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I know that we want everybody to go visit your website, which is robertabell.com. Can you tell everybody, Robert, what they can find there?
All right, so on my website, you can find a repository of a lot of media interviews I've done, podcast interviews. If you like the content here, you can listen to it from different angles. You can have links to my book, Blow the Lid Off, as Jessica is showing you. You can get direct access through Amazon and any digital bookstore, you name it, Kobo, all of them. And then you can also find my course. I have a course called Creativity Reclaim, sorry. So for those who may not like writing books and you have a business and you want to get your team more creative, you can find access to my course there where you can, unleash your creativity and interact with me more.
Very exciting. Very exciting. We would love for you to visit robertabell.com and check out everything that he has to offer. I'm so excited that you came back to visit us today and get us caught up with everything that you've had going on. And I would love to know if there's anything you would like to leave our audience with today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. There's one breakthrough, and I can say, Jessica, thank you so much. From season 4, I remember telling you that breakthrough is an important discovery or development. So don't feel discouraged if you're not winning awards and things aren't happening in your life. Because I said this in season 4, And I'm back here just to, to be to testify that you have to get the discovery first. You have to figure out what it is that you want to do, where you want to serve, and then the development will happen. Put in the work. One breakthrough that I'd like to share with you guys is that I was recently nominated as one of Africa's top 40 under 40 young professionals. So
Wow.
that's a big breakthrough for me, and I'm really celebrating it. And yes, I am below the age of 40, in case you're wondering. And that's just a great recognition on the work that I'm doing and the road that's going to be ahead for me. So thank you.
Wow. Congratulations. Just on the award, but on everything that you've been able to accomplish. And like I shared with you before we came on to record today, it's so fulfilling for me to see someone come on the show that's already successful and then come back with so much more to share that has literally blown the lid off their lives.
Yes.
We're just going to keep tying that in.
I love it. Let's keep it. It's my number one hashtag, blow the lid off.
I love it. I love it. Robert, thank you so much for being back with me today, my friend. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to welcoming you at the airport when you land in Kenya.
Yes, it'll be so good. Thank you all for watching or listening wherever you are in the world today. I want to remind you of a couple quick things. You can join our Breakthrough Show Network text community in the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Text the word breakthrough to 256-685-7092. That's 256-685-7092. If you are not in those areas of the world and or would not like to receive text messages, we invite you to join our Discord server to chat with other fans, meet past guests and hosts of the Breakthrough Show Network. Just go to bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough, bit.ly/Discord Breakthrough. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. I want to thank you so much for being here today. And I want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.